emergency for the first time in about...
This is Jim, and
Receiving this message. We are Ken Jennings and John Roderick. We speak to you from our present, which we can only assume is your distant past, the turbulent time that was the early 21st century.
Fearing the great cataclysm that will surely befall our civilization, we began this monumental reference of strange and obscure human knowledge. These recordings represent our attempt to compile and preserve wonders and esoterica that would otherwise be lost.
So whether you're listening from an advanced civilization or have just reinvented the technology to decrypt our transmissions, this is our legacy to you.
This is our time capsule. This is the Omnibus. You have accessed entry 561.ZC, that's Zulu Charlie.
Are we doing that? We're doing that now?
1412. Zulu Charlie 1412. Certificate number 49964. Haitian zombies.
But I don't care, darling, because I love you. You've got to let me eat your
Are you scared there, or are you spooky? Are you scaring others, or are you a little unnerved by the prospect of Haitian zombies?
I'm a little unnerved.
These are the real zombies. These are not time of the season British invasion zombies.
Right. Are they? They're not zombies that are like in a mall.
Right. They're not mall zombies. They're not consumer zombies. They're not even the fake ZZ Top zombies.
Are they fast-walking zombies?
Well, up to you.
Or slow-walking zombies?
Matter of personal taste. We're in the middle. Futurelings should know we're, hopefully toward the end of a kind of bizarre worldwide fascination with a very specific fictional trope that does not exist. The dead coming back to life, walking very slowly toward you and eating your brains. Now, this is, to be clear, this is not a thing that has ever happened.
Right.
Like, even as a fictional trope, it's not that old, as we shall see.
Right.
But it has become the centerpiece of the global entertainment economy for reasons that are not really clear to me.
I have a theory about it.
I was kind of wondering, because a million think pieces have been written about the zombie boom.
Yeah.
I have not read any of them,
Really?
and certainly they will not exist to the future. So why don't you give the final surviving explanation?
I have not read any of them either, but, there's hardly a thing that happens that I don't have a hot take about.
Even if you don't have one, you will produce one.
But my feeling about zombies is that they are they're an extremely safe way to explore your natural xenophobia, where you don't have to confront the other things that attend to xenophobia, like racism or cultural imperialism or whatever. You don't have to think about the other as actual people.
Who might be offended.
Right, but you can explore the idea of having an enemy that is other, and because if you think about what zombies do, it's very much like what people who are anti-immigrant or anti the social services network, it's very similar to the way they characterize the other, which is
they come in vast numbers.
Yeah, they're just here to exploit, and just they come and they're a relentless plague of...
They're takers. I have a brain, and they just want to... They think my brain is delicious, but they didn't do anything to earn that brain.
So if you think about survivalists or people with post-apocalyptic fantasies where they have to defend their home...
They just got to shoot up a bunch of somebodies.
Right, a bunch of the poor.
They can't say who they really would like to be shooting up in these situations.
And so zombies fulfill that, which it seems to be is maybe like a basic human need, to have an other enemy that it's very gratifying to defend your home and your culture and to feel like you're surrounded, and then just blow them away by the mass.
Well, this is the argument that takes place around violent video games or teenagers listening to death metal or whatever it is. Like, does this get it out of your system? to have a place to put your inner white fragility and rage?
Well, I mean,
or does it just make it more? Is it just a stealthy way to express it and indulge it?
What seems to me is that because this idea goes unexplored in the massive like fandom of zombie TV and movies and games, and
really, if you're not from our era, it's really impossible to overstate how this bizarre thing has become the centerpiece of not just horror, where it's not just low budget horror where it started, but now big budget end of the world,
right?
Tentpole movies and comedies, like Shaun of the Dead and prestige TV, and even historical mashups. You got to have zombies in Jane Austen now for some reason.
World War II zombies.
There's no part. Exactly. Nazi zombies. There's no part of our culture that has been untouched by this trope.
But it kind of goes. It's contemporaneous with the opposite cultural criticism, which is that any xenophobia of any kind expressed is politically untenable. You cannot be anything other.
Yeah. What else could you shoot up a room full of?
Yeah. If you're a member of liberal America, you have to welcome all people equally, and you cannot even distinguish between people based on.
We have Nazis for this. Movies have Nazis in the Klan for this. Exactly. For progressives to feel good about shooting up a crowd of something.
So what it is it's an other that progressives can feel good about killing in vast numbers.
I'm just saying we have Nazis for this.
And that makes me that concerns me, or at least the fact that we don't delve into that and we can look each other straight in the eye and say, oh, no, this is just for fun. Like watching movies and TV shows where we are like loading up on machine guns to just blow these completely fictional people away, but you're laying in bed at night. You have to be fantasizing about it.
Yeah, it started out as a campfire story, and it really turned into some kind of inward violent fantasy. Yeah, right.
It's an extremely violent fantasy and a profound fantasy.
I think you've brought this up on the Omnibus before, and I had never thought about zombies on this level. And I realized that there are very specific racist tropes in the portrayal of zombies.
They're all dark.
The way the coloration, the way they kind of move slowly and shuffle, which is kind of a 19th century white canard about the lower, duskier races.
They're in tattered clothes, like escaped slaves. I mean, they really do look like a trope of an 1850s idea of somebody in the Underground Railroad.
So this is not wrong. Like, there is a very racial basis for our conception of zombies. And I was not going to draw that direct a line. Like, I was trying to think what it is about our time that might make zombies our number one villain. And I never got to class or race animus like you did. I guess I was just hung up on the fact that there's a ton of them, and each individual one is not all that bad.
Each zombie
each
itself.
Individual zombie.
Sure, they're just confused.
Right, like it's in general, the trend in fiction is for bigger and bigger, scarier and less realistic and more megalomaniacal masterminds,
right.
Super evil Dracula, Voldemort, Moriarty kind of types, like that's our scary guy is, some ultimate big boss who represents ultimate evil. And zombies distribute that threat,
But again, we see that also in the way we think about, for instance, the vast Mexican horde that plagues us at the border.
I'm very convinced by this.
Yeah, every individual Mexican person is.
If I met one, I'm sure they'd be lovely.
You hear about all the border people are like, well, Jose is one of the good ones, but because he is, a friend of mine and I know him, but
there's a vast horde of criminals that are unlike him.
That's right.
Right. I guess even on a more general level, if you take away the xenophobia from it, it does seem more in line with our day and the way we now think about evil. That evil, there's something banal about evil, that it's not actually a criminal mastermind
right.
with a cloak twirling a mustache.
Although
it's really just a bunch of like what ruins my day is a bunch of small things.
Right.
It's annoyances and a computer that won't boot and a convenience store guy who's a dick for no reason.
Yeah,
and,
other people, they're just in the way. And
right.
I mean,
it's kind of a misanthrope supervillain, just a whole bunch of people who are kind of bugging me.
If you think about the way Seattle talks about it now, the vast faceless plague are Amazon, like young, affluent Amazon computer programmers.
Right.
And you just hate them as a mass of people. Although when you meet any individual one, you're like, oh, hey, buy my record.
Sorry, I called you a programmer. Well, I mean, in Seattle, too, you see the same thing with the homeless. I mean, it's
right.
Like, well, sure, some of them are just families who need a motel room for the night. But I'm not talking about them. There's this vast horde of drug using, filthy ones.
Yeah, the filthy zombies.
And I feel like we need to focus our rhetoric on the filth.
The junkie zombies. But junkies need help. We're talking about the unreformable junkie ones.
If you give them help, they'll just come here. Like, that's where the Seattle rhetoric has gone. Like, we can't actually provide services. Like, we just have to be so mean they'll go to Spokane or something.
Seattle is besieged on all sides by the rich and by the poor.
And if you're like me and you hate both the rich and the poor, it's awful.
Right.
What
do you do? You just stay
I'm in my
middle.
bunker with my zombie guns.
Stay in the fat middle.
So the zombie is a surprisingly recent addition to popular culture.
How? It seems like zombies would date back to it.
Yeah, like
what?
Like you'd think it'd be, well, at the very least it would be like like Dracula, a Gothic novel from the 19th century.
Or what is a golem?
And of course there's vampire roots back before that.
Isn't a golem a kind of
Golem? Like my precious?
No, golem like the Jewish like animated.
I always say golem.
Oh, okay.
Just to distinguish. It's Yom Kippur. We're recording this on Yom Kippur, John.
Sure.
Let's have some golem sensitivity.
So it's a golem. It's there to avenge your community. It comes to life, but that's not quite a zombie, is it? It's more like a monster.
It's made of clay.
Yeah.
It's more of a Frankenstein kind of a vibe.
Right. Okay, Frankenstein. But Frankenstein,
sure,
sort of. There's only one though, and he's nice,
right?
Because he likes Madeline Kahn.
He is undead.
That's exactly right. He's reanimated.
That's the zombie-like thing. I never liked the word undead, by the way. Like, I'm undead. I'm alive. Like, undead just means, like, zombies are still dead. Don't call them undead.
Sure.
They're dead and kind of, sauntering.
My daughter has started to say things when you ask her a question like, so did you wash your hair when you were in the bath or not? She'll go, ish.
I did not do it.
And I'm like, ish? When did that become a thing that people say? She's like, ish. So zombies are ish.
They're Frankensteinian, or Frankenstein is zombie-esque. But like zombies are a recent enough addition to American culture that like it was kind of a Broadway play that made them big. I mean, yeah, as recently as there was some anthropology about Caribbean traditions in the early 20th century, in the 20s and 30s.
I always say Caribbean, just to distinguish it from the ride.
I see. Caribbean is a fictional sea where Captain Jack Sparrow lives and dead men tell no tales.
Yeah. I try to distinguish it from the song Caribbean Queen.
Oh, right.
It's a Caribbean cruise.
R.I.P. Billy Ocean. Wait, is that Billy Ocean? Yeah. Wait, did Billy Ocean die? He did, right? I don't think
so. Did he?
Oh, who am I thinking of? Billy Vera died.
Is it Billy Ocean?
I know Billy Idol's alive.
Caribbean Queen. We're just going to get to the bottom of this right here on the show. It is Billy Ocean, and Billy Ocean and it was from 1984. Great year for
ocean related.
And it looks like Billy Ocean is still alive.
Oh, thank goodness.
And he was born in 1950, so he's a young 69 years old.
He's Trinidadian.
Yeah.
So he's from the how do we say it when it's not fictional, when it's not Johnny Depp? Caribbean. Okay. He's from you really put the rib back in Caribbean.
I'm just trolling you.
And as a result of this anthropological work, zombies kind of appeared as a trope in Broadway plays, from which they made their way to kind of the horror movies of early Hollywood.
What time are we talking about?
Early 30s. I think Bela Lugosi's movie White Zombie, again, not the the movie that I guess would inspire a young
Inspired the band.
Robert Bartley Cummings to change his name to Robert Bartley Zombie, Esquire.
I've met him.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And what's Rob like in person?
Super nice.
Aw.
He was standing side of stage at a Slayer show that I was also side of stage.
Is he always? Do you think he's just always there?
I don't know what he was doing there,
If
but
Slayer plays loud enough, Rob Zombie appears. He's conjured up.
My show partner said, "You want to meet Rob Zombie?" We walked over.
Never
and
say no to that.
shook hands. Nice.
Yeah, he's named after a Bela Lugosi movie set in the Caribbean about kind of a Lugosi plays a white zombie master who has been reanimating the dead. And then in the 40s, Jacques Tourneur made, Val Lewton, the great producer of B horror movies. This producer was given almost no money, and yet he made these amazing arty horror movies like Cat People and Seventh Victim, which really hold up well today. But maybe my favorite is I Walked with a Zombie, which also takes place on the island of Hispaniola. And in these early zombie movies, there's no brain eating, which is kind of
Right.
these are corpses coming back to life, but then they just kind of
What are they doing?
they're controlled by their zombie master.
But what do they
by their
want?
voodoo master?
What does
Whatever he
want?
wants. Well, it's up to him.
I see.
Bela Lugosi might want them to work his sugar plantation, but somebody else might want him to kill his enemies. I don't know.
Right.
And in these movies are pretty racialized. I mean, they both take place in Haiti, I think. And White Zombie has it's a Haiti that has an all white cast. Like, you'll occasionally see, an African American actor playing a servant or a farmer or something. But really all the drama is involving this weird white population of Haiti that maybe only exists in this movie.
Which should have been speaking French by all rights.
That's
right?
true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe they were speaking English with a British accent.
Sure.
That's usually how Hollywood conveys.
Both Germanness and Frenchness.
Yeah, all foreignness just means a British accent, upper class British accent. But the Tourneur movie actually does have spooky zombies who are black. A black actor named Darby Jones plays the spookiest character in the movie. A kind of a bug-eyed zombie. He may be able to do the internet thing where you pop out your eyes. I think, because in the movie he's really got these. He's kind of this gaunt guy with bulging eyes, and he's really othered in a spooky way. And you can see that the beginnings of our zombie fascination were extreme, even your theory aside, extremely racially fraught. Because, of course, the zombie comes from the local Haitian traditions of voodoo.
Right.
I guess now they spell it Vodou, Vodou.
Right. Well,
which is closer to the West African root and distinguishes it from kind of the New Orleans kind of media eyes.
It used to be Sevastopol, and now it's Sebastopol, and I just can't get around it.
Istanbul was Sevastopol.
But doesn't voodoo? I mean, I always thought of voodoo as having roots in Africa.
Yeah, it's a syncretic religion. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's a mix of West African traditions overlaid with the Christianity that was forced on these people when the slave trade brought them to the New World.
Right, I see.
So to this day, like the voodoo traditions.
I think it's just spelled differently, but we can still say.
Are we okay saying voodoo?
Yeah.
Like if I keep saying voodoo and that's wrong, that's going to be so embarrassing.
I think yeah. Whoever it is that is behind the spelling change within Haiti is probably, first of all, is definitely. Their descendants are going to be futurelings.
That happened to Korean, by the way. They changed the way that Korean is Romanized, like between when I lived there and now. So the cities literally changed their name. It used to be Busan with a P. Now it's Busan with a B.
Oh, right. It
was Daegu with a T. Now it's Daegu with a D. And the funny thing is the pronunciation is closer to the unvoiced consonant. Like it does sound, when it's an initial sound in Korean, it does sound a little closer to Busan than Busan. It's just unaspirated.
So say it as well as you can in Korean. It
would be somewhere between a P and a B. Busan.
Right.
There's no puff of air, but it's still closer to our unvoiced p than it is to our unvoiced b. But to make the romanization consistent, even when it's an initial letter, now they use the voiced B or D. So Americans are always saying bulgogi when it's really closer to pulkogi. Like it's closer to a P.
Interesting.
Not really. Anyway, in voodoo to this day, you can see this kind of the way that Christian theology has been layered over West African animism. You know, there is a omnipotent, distant, unknowable God in voodoo called a bon Dieu, which is just bon Dieu, good God in French.
Right.
But
he is good.
It's right in the name.
Yeah, I get it.
But then below him, there's a ton of loa, you know, these spirits representing different aspects of nature or the world who are below him. So it's kind of like the Tolkien thing where he wanted to have all his cool Norse pagan gods, but he was also a guilty Catholic man,
right, who
wanted there to be an omnipotent, bodiless Iluvatar god over them all.
Every incarnation of Christianity that I've experienced outside of the United States, you know, and there are 500 kinds of Christianity here, but when you go to Germany, you definitely feel the strong influence of sort of pagan animism within the Christianity. I mean, there are an awful lot of pine boughs in those churches for my taste. But then if you go to southern Mexico, the saints are
sure. I mean,
really, really powerful.
That's at the center of Catholic dogma today, but there's a bunch of saints looking out for you, and
saints just looking at the way they're portrayed in Oaxaca, churches in Oaxaca, you see them have qualities that feel very Mayan or
pre-Columbian in some way.
Yeah, pre-Columbian, right.
That's true in voodoo as well. The loa are often identified with an actual saint. You know, this is the loa of the moon or whatever. But what if it's also Saint Philip of Thessaly or whatever? These are made up examples, but there is a death loa, the god of the underworld in voodoo, Baron Samedi, which just means Saturday, and this is a trope we see that's made it into popular culture. If you've ever pictured kind of the spooky voodoo guy with the skull makeup and the top hat and the nice suit,
I picture him. I do picture him from Madonna videos. Are
you picturing him right now? Like if you're picturing him, don't let him come to you because he is the loa of the underworld.
Beetlejuice.
Rob Zombie, come and fight off the voodoo loa. But he's, it's Jeffrey Holder in Live and Let Die. It's the spooky voodoo guy who's come for your soul. And he's kind of a debauched death god. Like he likes to have a good time. He's also, he likes riotous women and wine and song. Interestingly, Papa Doc Duvalier, the Haitian dictator,
yes,
would actually dress in a way that would remind his citizenry of Baron Samedi. He literally dressed like a death god on the stump, which is a pretty brave political maneuver. I don't know if I would recommend that to Bernie Sanders.
He exploited voodoo, but I think he also really strongly believed in it.
Oh, is that true? This was not just a tactic for him?
No, I feel like he, as time went on, he went crazy and became like a very bad man. But it was an honest practice of voodoo, or it went from like respect to belief.
So are you implying that Francois Duvalier was like a nice guy at first and was corrupted by his office?
But corrupted by
the voodoo gods.
By the undead.
He forgot to put a line of salt in front of his door. I really recommend that politicians put a line of salt on their door. Elizabeth Warren, don't let the voodoo gods possess you.
Let me just correct myself. They were not Maya in Oaxaca, but Zapotec.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I could hear the scratching of pens out in the ether.
There's
Zapotecs, you idiot.
Zapotecs and Mixtecs, largely.
Anyway, a big responsibility of the Baron, the voodoo death god, is that he would make sure that corpses, rested in peace. Basically, that they rotted in the ground. I mean, that's why they foreground the skull and bones imagery on the Baron, because he wants to make sure you rot away into a nice skeleton. Like when you think about it, that's a service a death god provides. And there is an afterlife in voodoo. A lot of the things we associate with voodoo from the movies, the pins and the dolls and whatnot, are not actually part of the religious practice.
Is that right? There's no, you don't have a little doll that you can hurt your enemy with if you have a lock of hair?
Can you imagine if that was the main thing about the religion? Like people are going door to door. Hey, do you have enemies you'd like us to make a little, we have a short message about making mannequins of your enemies. That would actually be a pretty good draw, honestly.
Well, let's put a new syncretic religion together that has elements of all these things. The most revenge elements.
It's going to combine my conviction about my Mormon beliefs and your deep love of revenge.
That's right. We'll get a little instant karma in there. We'll get John Lennon's version of instant karma.
It's going to get you. So there is an afterlife in Haitian belief and in Haitian voodoo, but it's kind of a sad one.
Oh,
I'm sorry. This is going to be a bummer.
Uh-oh. Why do you want it?
This is our spooky Halloween show. Oh. Well, it's nice to them. It's a bummer for us looking back. When Haiti was a French colony, when it was Saint-Domingue until the slave revolts in around early 19th century, 1804 or so, that gave Haiti its independence. It was just sugar plantations, and it was a huge target for the slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade. And so the West African beliefs that are coming over with slaves who have awful lives, and their afterlife that they talk about, their idyllic Eden, is called Longuinay.
Mm-hmm.
And that just means Guinea land. It means
back to Guinea.
Yeah, back to West Africa, like where stuff was good before these a-holes made us slaves on their sugar plantations.
Oh no.
So
that is kind of a bummer.
So they spend their whole lives just dreaming of this Edenic death where they just get to go home.
They get to go home.
And every day the sun would set in the west, but then it would rise again from Africa in the east. And they would think there is some miraculous way to get back there to my land and my continent and my people. And their belief was that in death, they could follow the course of somehow the sun gets there every night. And you could do the same thing, and you would live again in the perfect, simple happiness that has kind of come down to through your generations of enslaved people.
Just ride the sun from Haiti around over Busan,
around Sevastopol,
and then back around.
Yes.
Drop you off in Guinea.
Right. So that's their afterlife. It's a place that exists in their minds and in their legends. It has physical geography to it.
Wow.
And
that's very poignant.
Well, it becomes even more poignant because when you're a slave, there's a way to get back to Longuinay. Like suicide was not uncommon.
Oh, wow.
Among slave populations, because your life is just so awful.
Right.
And if it just gets so bad that you can't stand it, well, hey, here's a shortcut.
So
back to Africa.
All it takes is walk through the door. It doesn't. There's no. There wasn't any prohibitions on certain deaths.
No, I don't think that. I think when you're that desperate, I don't know of any specific taboo against suicide.
You can't suicide, right?
Into heaven.
Yeah, that puts you into purgatory or worse.
Right, but apparently, when your belief system arises out of this kind of desperation and misery, a slave plantation, then you're willing to take any hopeful out. And so afterlives are all wish fulfillment in a way. Like all the classic afterlives are just
the classic afterlives.
Well, like you mentioned the Mayans, or the Aztec Mictlan, like the Aztec heaven is just a place where like peppers and squash grow in abundance. Like that's the best thing they can think of.
Sounds like my heaven.
All the squash you can eat, because their days are spent, trying to get squash to grow in Mesoamerica.
It's definitely hippo heaven.
The best thing they can imagine is just a place where they don't have to work so damn hard for the squash.
Right.
So the afterlife is always wish fulfillment in a way. And
I have no conception of an afterlife like that would please me at all. It's only just occurring to me now.
You don't. Well, let's go through it.
What would my heaven be?
What would your wish fulfillment be? Think of the things. Here's what they do. Think of the things you don't like having to work to get squash out of the ground.
Right.
And flip it.
Flip it.
Do you not like traffic?
Honestly, I think that my heaven would and I think it may be achievable in life, would just be to relieve me of a feeling that I have not finished any projects lately. I think my heaven would be that I didn't wake up every morning going, boy, you've really screwed it up.
I'm in the middle of 10 things.
Just from the time that I was like 11 on, I've just sort of just feel like I've screwed it up. And if I could just be relieved of that, I think I would be in heaven.
That seems manageable, honestly.
It does. It also seems sad. It's even sadder than riding the sun back to Guinea. If I could just wake up in the morning and not excoriate myself.
It just seems like maybe just some affirmation tapes could deliver you to that heaven.
If I just put a Post-it note on the door that was like, you're fine, you're good, you're doing fine.
Yeah, you're doing great.
But I don't believe it. It's in my own handwriting. I know it's fake.
Okay, you need to roll over and see the right person who tells you you're doing great.
Oh, see, but that's the thing. I need to be married or in love or something, and I already feel like I've screwed that up.
Yeah, I feel like your heaven is very achievable. I
guess.
You're not like, I need wings, I need clouds.
I don't need like friends. I don't need an abundance of squash. I don't want to go home. I just want to like have a peaceful mind, I guess.
Have you thought about maybe just
meditation?
Getting rid of a smartphone? Yeah, or TM, or maybe just getting rid of your smartphone.
Kind of. One of them costs a lot of money and one of them saves you a lot of money. That might help. You could just do one of those. But I just, I've got that long winners record I never finished. It took me 32 years to get a college degree. What if you just finished one of them? Yeah, well, easier said than done. What if every day you had like a small, achievable goal? This is doable. I feel like I am a zombie of a kind. I'm just reanimated. Just shuffling around. Yeah. Every day, every day we record the show, I ring your doorbell, I see you kind of lurch up from the couch, like no dust scatters by your tombstone, but it is kind of like. I'm outside of a door, and I can't figure out how to work the doorknob because I'm dead, and so I'm just sort of clawing at the door. So the this conception of heaven is actually what directly leads to the zombie trope, because plantation owners, I don't want to say reasonably so, because nothing about being a Haitian plantation owner in the 18th century feels like a great life choice. But in their own self-interest, at least, they did not want all their most well-adjusted slaves killing themselves, because really it's a rational choice when you're on a slave on a Haitian sugar plantation, Right. Like, why not bow out of this, So really, like, they would be losing all their best labor force if suicide became an option. So they had to discourage the idea of slave suicide. Okay. And what they did was they told their slaves through their kind of, religious domination that suicides would not go to Longuinay. That was the one way to assure that you would have, the Catholic idea that there would be an unquiet grave for suicides, that the Baron would not be able to rest your bones in peace and return your soul. Because Catholicism tells this to its own flock, right? Otherwise, possibly to discourage suicides. No, I'm not sure. Yeah. Otherwise, there wouldn't even have been a Renaissance. You just get nuns thinking they could fly and jumping out of bell towers. Yeah. And presumably some of them can't. Right. The Middle Ages were so bad. I mean, the European race might not have survived. Right. So it's the same thing here, except, without any concern for the actual souls of these people. They just wanted them to keep picking the right number of sugarcane. Well, as far as you know, they might have also been concerned with their souls. Really? Well, you're imagining, much as you've imagined a nice Papa Doc, you want to imagine nice Haitian slave masters. Well, this is the problem. You think the best of everyone. This is the problem with the spread of Christianity, right? It was all driven by at least an overt motivation to save the souls of the many. Of the vast unsaved. It starts out with such a nice guy. Yeah. No matter what you think about Christianity or the divinity of Jesus, he seems like a delight. Yeah. He's so unselfish and patient. Yeah. Like what a great friend. You never know. And yet, you never know what's in the hearts and souls of men. So let me get this straight. You're not suspicious about Papa Doc Duvalier, but you think maybe Jesus has a dark side? Yeah, Yeah, think about him and the money lenders. You know, what were those people doing? They were just sitting there lending money.
We all get mad sometimes.
Jesus, tipping over tables and stuff.
You're saying you've never been like in a long line at the bank?
I didn't go tipping tables over.
You wanted to.
I didn't go casting people down.
You wanted to. Anyway, so it does not serve the ruling class for slaves to be killing themselves. So they tell them, if you take your own life just to get out of your lousy life here, you're not going to land anybody. You will be a zombie. That's when you become the undead.
Oh no!
You become a creepy guy creeping around the jungles here, and you don't want that, right?
No.
So our whole idea of creepy guys creeping out of their graves just emerged as a way to
keep slaves from killing themselves.
To discourage slave suicide.
This is terrible.
And we've turned it into the centerpiece of a lot of our culture, and as you've mentioned, kind of an uncomfortably racialized part of our culture.
Right.
And yet I've never heard of anybody trying to cancel zombies.
No, because all the people that are the most into canceling are also the most into zombie movies, as far as I'm concerned.
It's true. No hentai ever gets canceled. It's so weird.
Have you always wanted to learn to play an instrument? Maybe you've even tried at some point, but gave up because you felt lessons were too expensive or that you just didn't have the time. Thankfully, there's Musician. Musician is the fun, easy, and affordable way to learn guitar, piano, bass, ukulele, and even singing. Just download the app to your desktop, tablet, or phone and start playing. Musician gives you 24/7 access to a vast catalog of video lessons from professionally trained educators, as well as thousands of exercises and songs across dozens of music genres, all tailored to your goals. And with Musician's award-winning technology that listens to you play, you'll get real-time feedback on timing and accuracy so you can actually see yourself improving as you learn. Start your extended 14-day free trial of Musician's Premium Plus package at musician.com/start. That's unlimited access to thousands of lessons, exercises, and songs on as many instruments as you want for 2 whole weeks. Just go to musician.com/start. That's YOUSICIAN.com/start.
Haiti was one of the first, maybe the first country in the New World to ban slavery because, it was the second independent nation in the New World after the U.S.
Right.
The slave uprisings or upvolts, as I call it,
Upvolts.
of the 1800s, ended the slave trade there.
They banned the slave trade. Did they ban slavery?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe the independent post-1804 Haiti had no slavery, specifically banned in its constitution. But of course, we're dealing with, in this country as well, we're dealing with the aftershocks of centuries of the slave trade, even today. And I think a lot of the discussion you hear about, what that did to generations of the descendants of the slaves, the African-American population today.
Christopher Columbus actually landed in Haiti.
And took slaves. Like within a few days of Haiti, quote, being discovered, maybe we should have done this for the Columbus Day show instead of the Halloween show.
Yeah.
He was enslaving people. And now it's just a fun thing. If you go to the CDC website, there's they have tips against zombie epidemics now. So like I think about zombies when when you hear this kind of the Ta-Nehisi Coates stuff about how even today Black people don't have the same kind of autonomy over their bodies, of their physical selves as you would like, because whether it's some mean cop or a for-profit prison system or systemic racism in any other way, it aims to continue that legacy of slavery of not letting Black people have the autonomy over their physical selves that we were all born expecting. And that's exactly what the zombie myth is. Some Bokor, some sorcerer is forcing you to do their evil bidding. And, you're just a black pawn in the game.
It's interesting that the United States did not recognize Haiti politically until during the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
Because to have recognized Haiti prior would have been, part of this whole
it's a political football.
Yeah, political football.
You can't recognize a country that's a living example of a successful slave revolt, right?
Because the Southern senators would have, probably filibustered it or whatever. So it wasn't until 1862 when the Southern states seceded that the Union recognized the existence of Haiti.
My theory is that the whole Civil War was fought in order to recognize Haiti.
Is that right?
Lincoln had a great one of his great diplomatic goals was to recognize Haiti, and he was willing to fight a bloody civil war to do so.
Interesting. In addition to the in the Constitution in 1804, in addition to outlawing slavery, it granted freedom of religion, and white men were forbidden from possessing property.
Wow.
On Haiti.
Well, they kind of had it coming.
And that concludes Haitian Zombies. Entry 561.ZuluCharlie1412. Certificate number 49964.
49964.
In the omnibus. Futurelings, you may not understand how going is scary in our time, but it still conveys spookiness.
It's the scariest thing we can think of.
Ooh, in the unlikely event. This is what people who are dead or in the ghost world sound like.
But why? Why are they singing?
Ooh.
Like, what do we think has happened to their vocal cords that they can...
I don't know.
I mean, it seems like a harder, more elaborate way of talking. Like, if anything else, they should be like... boo. Like, they should talk like a very old man.
Right.
That's how spooky ghosts should talk.
Or actually, if you believe in heaven, they should be like, hey, what's up? Things are great. Thanks for contacting us.
Jesus is love. Bye.
I feel like this is, it goes back to seances where someone was ringing a bell with their foot under the table and saying like, I'm here.
It's like how you can always do an impression of cartoon characters. Like anybody can sound like
Mel Blanc.
Yeah, Sylvester or whatever.
Fluffer and Fluckatash.
I'm going to destroy the earth. And that's because those are not real people's voices. That's a guy doing a put-on voice.
Right.
So that's why we can all do the spooky voice. We're doing an impression of some crooked seance lady. We're doing Madame Blavatsky or something.
Futurelings, of course, will all understand perfectly that the spirit world is just a place that we put our hopes and fears.
They will have overcome all fear, in fact. Like Halloween is obsolete to them because nothing scares them.
It's always fun to dress up as someone else. So Halloween will just be an elaborate masquerade
It'll
ball.
just be Pride. Like Halloween is becoming Pride in our era. Just get rid of the candy and why do we still need the squash?
Get rid of the candy.
This isn't Mixlawn. You can go to the store and buy fun-sized Baby Ruth bars any day of the year.
Yeah, but Halloween is an excuse to eat them for breakfast. Well, in the unlikely event that the awful Halloween-y spirit world of social media still exists in your era,
That's
Futurelings.
spooky. You
Facebook,
can't spell Facebook without boo.
Facebook. Twitter and Instagram are archived at the Omnibus Project. Zombies don't make those sounds, right? Zombies just go like ack.
Right.
They just sound like Kathy.
And Kathy's strip is over, so she could literally be a zombie right now. She could be stumbling around with part of her head missing right now, trying on bathing suits.
Brains.
Bathing suits.
If you think about, wait a minute, zombies are like a major, if not the major plot point in Game of Thrones.
That's true. Like even our epic fantasy has been taken over by zombies. Tolkien was not troubled by the need to add zombies. He had barrow wights. That's as close as he got.
Well, sure, and Nazgul.
Are Nazgul zombies? They've got dark cloaks. To me, they're more like the Dracula archetype.
They're incorporeal.
That's
corporeal.
True.
They're incorporeal.
Could you their heads look invisible? Could you poke at them? How many Nazgul can dance on the head of a pin?
You can kill them with a elf blade.
If you're a woman or a hobbit.
Right.
No man can do it.
Only women and hobbits.
Right.
That's the only people that should be allowed to own property in Middle Earth.
There should be a door. There should be two restrooms. One for men where you can't kill Nazgul, and one that has a picture of a woman and a little hobbit.
Yeah. Well, or anyone that can kill a Nazgul.
Right. Non-binary people can kill a Nazgul.
Can a dwarf kill a Nazgul?
He just says no man. So really, any kind of non-binary, genderqueer, there's a whole spectrum of people that can kill a Nazgul now.
Right. So, but male dwarves identify, well, not men, right? They identify as dwarves, but they do identify as male.
They've got beards. I hope they identify as male.
Well,
you never actually see
not necessarily.
You never
though.
see a she-dwarf.
You can be a genderqueer and still have a beard.
That's true. I've never asked Gimli's pronouns.
Right.
And he and Legolas seem very close, so who knows what's going on.
Can elves kill Nazgul? They must be able to. Because the
hobbit.
Nazgul are kings of men who have been turned.
9 rings for the what? 9 rings for the mortal man doomed to die.
Right. Okay. There you go.
There you go. Mortal man doomed to die. So yeah, and the hobbit who helps out is male.
Right.
Even though his name is Mary, I assume his pronouns are male.
And also he is mortal. Hobbits don't go over the sea when it's their time.
Well, Frodo and Sam do.
Right.
And Bilbo.
Right.
Sam only does so in the appendices.
Right. Silmarillion.
So yeah,
we're the worst.
So you're not wrong. A male elf or dwarf seems like would be able to get around the no man could kill me kind of loophole. Also, what a terrible loophole to have. Why doesn't he just say nobody can kill me? Then you're good.
I feel like I don't see dwarves killing Nazgul, but I could see Elrond killing a Nazgul. That doesn't seem...
Yeah, but why hasn't he then? He should be able to just kill 9 Nazgul before breakfast and problem solved.
Right, I see what you mean. Well, but here's the question. Why doesn't Tom Bombadil
just pick up the ring and
make the whole world like a peaceful, beautiful place?
Why doesn't he make more squash grow and make the ring disappear?
Because he's one of the eldest, Ken.
So wait, Tom Bombadil is a Iluvatar? We've wandered pretty far from zombies, much less from the outro.
Right. Much less from what is even canonical Tolkienism.
Yeah, probably the most controversial thing we've ever said on this show. The thing we're going to get the most letters about is saying that Tom Bombadil is a Iluvatar. People will be like, yeah, sure, all zombie movies are racist as hell, but
yeah.
I drew the line when you said Tom Bombadil was a Iluvatar.
Ted Leo is gonna call me on the phone. Our handles on social media were at Ken Jennings and at John Roderick. I also am on Instagram, posting pictures of my undead, idealized life.
Your adventures seem pretty good on Instagram.
Where I sit by the pool and...
The thing is, your life on Instagram seems like most people's heaven. So
yeah, that's right. Just hanging out, wearing old musty-smelling wool jackets
and lying in the tub and taking pictures of funny signs and eavesdropping on old folks in diners.
Yep, that's it.
So if you could just wake up and look at your Instagram, you would be like, oh, today's going to be pretty chill.
My life is great if you could just eliminate my inner voices.
If your brain wasn't there experiencing your life, it would be fantastic.
Maybe I should put in headphones. I don't listen to music when I walk around. Maybe if I had music playing, it would just drown out all the like, John, you didn't get very good grades.
You never finished sorting that drawer. You're doomed.
Please email us from your beyond, from the depths of time, from the other side of the circle, at theomnibusproject@gmail.com. Ken will read your email.
Apparently there are SMTP and POP and IMAP servers on the other side of the circle.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. What we don't know about IMAP and POP are they confined to one place in time?
Sure. Are they 4-dimensional solids? Probably.
Please support our show at patreon.com/omnibusproject with your financial contribution. We are just now, earlier today, discussing reward tiers, which will be rolling out very shortly. Talk about a Halloween surprise. Maybe we should do it for Christmas. No, Thanksgiving. That's when you roll out your reward tiers.
Why? Because it's a time of bounty?
It's a time to give thanks.
Our cornucopia runneth over with the rewards we will offer.
Did you just put an extra syllable in cornucopia?
Did I say like cornucopia?
Yeah, cornucopia.
I don't know if it's an extra syllable. It's definitely an extra Y.
I heard you say cornucopia. Like it's something like it's an optometrist holiday.
Yeah, that's right. That's the apples of my eye. So yes, there will be bountiful rewards coming for good little pilgrims.
A horn aplenty, if you will, of merch and options.
If you're plentahorny for a horn aplenty, keep an eye on the Patreon and donate generously.
If you have not instituted a prohibition against Facebook in your own personal lives and in your history, which, listen, we understand, but because websites no longer are applicable, and because we did not think about, nor do we feel entirely comfortable about having a fan group on Patreon, just because it seems like it's one more place to go. I would forget it existed.
If your culture does not say that people with Facebook accounts cannot achieve the afterlife.
Right, exactly.
If you have no such taboo.
We don't support social media at all, but we're forced into it. Like,
we spend several minutes every Tuesday and Thursday bad-mouthing it.
It's
for
awful.
some reason.
But we want you to enjoy the people who populate, the people and futurelings. I don't mean to be species normative.
Dwarves, elves, hobbits.
The many ethereal beings. There are Nazgul on there.
Really?
Yeah, they don't comment that much.
If I was a Nazgul, I'd be worried because there's so many non-human posters who could just poke me with a sword.
I think they have handles. I think they are anonymous on there, and every once in a while they just come in and throw some bomb at the peaceful community.
On the internet, no one knows you're a Nazgul.
Our fan group is the Futurelings on Facebook. We are also on. We also have a fan group on Reddit. If you feel like that is a healthier environment.
If you've made a series of life choices that make you think Reddit is healthy, first of all, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But second of all, yes, Futurelings.
The Redditors continue to be slightly more disgruntled than the Facebook people, and I think that is in keeping with
that's the vibe.
The spirit of the various places.
Facebook is for gruntled folks.
Yeah. And you can mail us actual things. Ken has a bag of mail right there next to him. Things we've received in the mail from Futurelings, past and present. And future. I'm
opening an envelope right now.
Our mail is at P.O. Box 55744, Shoreline, Washington 98155. What do you got there?
John Perrin of Pomeroy, Ohio.
Mm-hmm. I know it well.
It's near the site of the Mothman scare of the late 1960s.
Yeah.
Mothman?
Mothman.
It's not. Is it like a Jewish fella?
Boo. No,
we used to live by the Mothmans. They always had a menorah.
Yeah, they were nice. They're nice people.
They're good people.
She was actually converted Catholic, Mrs. Mothman.
I think you say Mothman, right? So he has sent us a long 7-page.
Is it a play?
Summary. Yes, he's written a play. It's called The Mothman Cometh. No, it's a 7-page description of the moth. Maybe he's proposing it for a future omnibus entry. Not a bad idea. And he also corrects the way we said. I still can't remember the right way to say it. Chillicothe?
Oh no, Chillicothe.
I think we said Chillicothe, but everyone's saying it's Chillicothe.
Chillicothe?
Maybe those are both wrong.
Chillicothe.
And now we're going to get more letters.
Chillicothe.
Yeah, it's Chillicothe.
It's one of those things where if you can say Puyallup and Squim, then you're from here.
And I'm not from Eastern Ohio. He says it's Chillicothe, and it comes from a Shawnee word for big town.
Big town.
Big town. So like Chillicothe was their Cleveland.
Yeah. Oof.
That's probably nicer.
Sorry.
It had a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame also, but they just had rocks. So please, if you have information on the Mothman, you know where to send it.
Well, we already have 7 pages of information on the Mothman.
If you have pages 8 through 16 of Mothman information, a sequel, please get it to us. This ends in a bit of a cliffhanger. Here is the last line. If you're passing through West Virginia this September, consider swinging by the festivities to remember one of America's strangest and most intriguing local legends. Intriguing local legends. See, real cliffhanger. You can't end there.
Yeah. Eastern Ohio, particularly southeastern Ohio, is not a place that we're going to find ourselves by accident.
I call it Northwest West Virginia.
That's exactly what it is. Although, not to disparage West Virginia.
No, we'd rather go there.
Yeah, well, and not to disparage Western Virginia by attaching it in any way to southeastern Ohio.
Have you done all the things? Are you done with your things?
Oh, yeah, all the things are done.
Listeners, from our vantage point here in your distant past, before the zombie epidemic happened, before the zombie onslaught, before zombies even got canceled for being in poor taste, we have no idea how long our civilization survived. We hope and pray that the catastrophe we fear may never come, because I didn't buy any machine guns for the zombies. I'm going to be
You
helpless.
don't have a single machine gun?
Let me list all the machine guns that are in my house. That's it. I don't have any.
Wow. You're not prepping very well.
What's the correct number of machine guns to have?
Let's see. What's a correct number of machine guns? 2.
One
for each adult.
I should just have the thing in the movies where the revolver has 4 bullets.
Do you think? Well, no. Do you think that's dark?
It's a little dark. Also, we have dogs.
Do you think one of your dogs is exactly 6 inches high, and the other one I've never seen stand?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do great in the post-apocalyptic world.
Do you think that Dylan and Caitlin are old enough now and responsible enough to wage a gun when your home is besieged by zombies or others?
No, like I can't even get them to put their laundry in the hamper. That's what I always think every time there's some video, some NRA guy with, his 9-year-old shooting something up.
That's your standard for having crossed the threshold into adulthood.
Yes. Can you toss the clothing into the cylinder for clothing instead of on the flat plane next to the cylinder for clothing?
And until you do, you will not gain a franchise in this family.
Right, yeah, exactly. They're never going to have a vote, but they will get a machine gun. Like I already have the machine guns ready to give them.
Don't you think that they might be forged as adults in the
crucible of gun ownership?
The crucible of finding your house attacked.
Oh, I see. Yeah, maybe it would reveal heretofore unsuspected depths.
The way your house is situated, it seems defensible.
It's on a hill. We chose the high ground.
But
we never even get trick-or-treaters.
I wouldn't go up that street.
That's how off-putting our stairs are to lazy American children.
Could zombies get over the back fence, though? Because it seems like you've got a protective hedge of you, but that might not be enough to keep zombies out.
A hedge of me? We have blackberries. Oh. Do the zomberries hate prickles, or are they okay?
Zomberries
they don't
definitely
mind.
Hate prickles.
But in movies, like rebar will go through them, and they'll just be like they just got a bad email. I feel like they're prickle-proof. Anyway, if the worst comes soon, if the zombies get through my blackberries soon, this very recording could be my final word to you. But if Providence allows, John and I hope to be back with you soon for another spooky entry in the Omnibus.